This club is going to give me a heart attack. Let's talk about it. So before we even started the game, we were 2 players down. So Bobby Hill went out of the game, personal reasons, so some family issues that Fly didn't want to expand on in the presser after the game. So we're wishing Bobby and his family all the best in whatever is sort of happening. Then Pendles is out with gastro. So Will Parker from our emergencies comes into the team, and then to replace Bobby Hill, Oleg Markov comes into the team. Markov starts as the sub. So we're already on the back foot. Those players are out. Steel Sidebottom is out. McStay, Darcy Moore, Lockie Schultz, Degoe, even though we haven't been playing with Degoe. So we've had our injuries are sort of coming up, right? Coming up. And then 5 minutes into the game, Braden Maynard does something to his foot, understood to be a symptom to his plantar fasciitis. And then we're down Braden Maynard, so another defender for the rest of the game, and Oleg Markov comes on. So we have to reshuffle again. This was, look, I'm not going to say it was a win for the ages, or when we did the Fremantle review, we said, that Fremantle game, look back at it, and you'll see that that sort of, it was a season defining sort of game and stuff like that. So this game isn't like that at all. This game is more, we have gears. We have different sort of gears. And in those first 3 quarters, we just didn't come out of first gear, it seemed, right? North Melbourne, again, it wasn't a carbon copy of last season, but North Melbourne did put up a good fight, and they had 70 odd marks in the first half, which is sort of unprecedented. They were playing keepings off football, but they were playing boring keepings off football. I remember turning to my friends in that first quarter and being like, this is boring as hell. Collingwood were letting them do what they wanted, only because when North Melbourne did have the ball, they weren't doing much with it. Now, I was getting frustrated because I was like, just man up and try and cut them off, try and intercept and all this sort of stuff. And then we go down at half time. So they're sort of leading at half time. And then it gets to the third quarter, and Collingwood kick 3 goals, 8 for 7 goals, 17 at 3/4 time. And it's just another game where we're not efficient inside 50. And one day it'll come back to bite us on the ass. Thankfully it wasn't today. But bloody hell, like, how do we kick 7 goals, 17 for 3/4, and then in that last quarter we kick 8 goals, 1. We go, okay, let's turn it on, kick 8 goals, 1 in that last quarter, which is fantastic. We kicked more goals in that last quarter than we kicked in the first 3 quarters, and that's mainly because North Melbourne started to slow down. They played 3 quarters of good football in the sense that, yes, they were sort of attacking us and pressuring us, but it was also that keepings off football. When you keep playing that keepings off football, that mark and stop, and you keep doing it, it does get tiresome. It does get tiresome. And what is that sort of teaching their team? They needed to attack us like they did last season. Thankfully, they didn't. And then we just start rolling over the top of them. What's wild to me is that this is the 3rd game in a row where we've lost the clearance count. We didn't lose the inside. Yeah, we had 58 inside 50s, mainly because in the first half we had 21 inside 50s. In the third quarter alone, we had 20 inside 50s, and that's where we got that 3 goals, 8 return. This is the 3rd game in a row where we've lost that clearance count, and me and Dutchy were talking about it, and I've said it on my reviews as well. You want to get first use of the ball, and thankfully, even though we had, close to 60 inside 50s and we were having those shots at goal, North Melbourne didn't really make us pay. And I don't know if it was, I was going to say, I don't know if that was by design, that's how we were playing. And I don't know if missing goals was by design. I mean, did Craig McRae or the coaches just sort of say, hey, we've got gears, see what they come up with, play a little, I think it was a bit of rope-a-dope, to be honest, like see what they can throw at you and then turn it on when you need to. And because in that last quarter, they played football like they didn't play for those 3 quarters at all. Nick Dacos had 17 disposals in that last quarter by himself, right? And I think 12 inside 50s, it was something crazy. And then Ned Long plays an absolutely incredible game and could be a 3 Brownlow vote game for Ned Long and Billy Frampton. There was a lot of players, and we'll talk about him on Swoop standouts tomorrow, but there was a lot of players that did really, really, really well. I thought Will Parker, he got rewarded for his great VFL form. Didn't see much of the ball, neither did Will Hayes, but they did some really nice things here and there. And this is probably the youngest side that we've fielded in a long, long time. I'd love to get that age number because, yeah, I think that was the youngest side that we fielded in absolutely forever. And it's giving us a glimpse into the future. This is the first time we've won a game of football without Steele or a Pendlebury in the team since 2009, round 13, 2009, which was 6 games after Steele's Sidebottom debuted. We haven't played a game without both of Steele and Pendlebury in the same team since when was it? Round 9, 2020. So the COVID years, or it was around something. It was definitely in 2020. It's been over 5 years since we played a game without both of Steele and Pendles in the same side. We're getting used to life, or we're looking at life without them now. I know this wasn't by design. This was, Pendlebury was sick and Sidebottom was managed, but it gave us a look at, at one stage in the centre bounce, we had Harry Perryman, Ned Long, Nick Dacos, and Darcy Cameron. That's the future right there. And it's crazy to think that's the future, but that's what it is. And we're starting to show signs that we're not just that one team player anymore. Like, yes, Nick Dacos didn't have a great 3 quarters, but we were still doing okay without him. It was just that we couldn't kick. If we had kicked straight, in that third quarter, we would have been up by 40 points at 3/4 time. You know what I mean? And then you go into that last quarter and they go, all right, here's 4th gear. Here we go. Rope-a-dope is done. You've had your fun. You've had your punches. Let's get to it. I thought for the most part, our forward line worked really, really well together. Member kicking 3, Mychek kicking a couple, and Jamie Elliott kicking 5. But it wasn't even just that. It was the way Will Hoskin-Elliott was playing that attacking defensive role because Bo McCreary was playing in the middle for quite a bit of the time, and there was no Lockie Schultz. So Will Hoskin-Elliott, we know that he's that Swiss sort of army knife, but he's just doing little things that you don't really see on the TV, and he was doing it really, really well. So I'm really impressed with how he was going about it. I thought Mason Cox had his moments as well. Only 3 or something touches. Can there be... Look, I always say it, and I do love Mason Cox, and I know what he brings to the team, and I know the structure that he brings to the team, but could we be doing the same structure with a Oscar Steen instead, or an Illaru Smith? Could we start putting games into them and seeing what that sort of structure looks like with one of those guys in, and Mason on the outer a little bit? When do we see that Charlie West? So there are a lot of sort of options and a lot of depth. And what I love is that at the moment our depth is being tested, right? We haven't got a clean bill of health like we thought we would. But now we're getting games into these kids. Ed Allen has played another full game. Lockie Sullivan has played another full game. So we're getting games into these kids. So if we need to call upon them later on in the season, we can, because we know that they can stack up to the rigors of AFL professional football, not just the VFL stuff. So that's really great to see as well. And this next man in mentality that we have is second to none in the league at the moment. I'm telling you, it's second to none in the league. And that's why we're on top of the ladder. That's why we're 9-2. We've won, 9 of our, what was it? 9 of our last 10 games or something like that. And yeah, 9 of our last 10 games or something like that. We've got the highest percentage in the league. We've got the best defense in the league. We've got the best attack in the league. We're playing football that's different to 2023, but almost better than 2023. We're not that run and gun off half back anymore as much as we were in 2023. We are playing different football, but it's a more mature brand of football. It's still chaotic, but it's less chaotic than 2023. It's a more matured chaotic, and I'm absolutely here for it. And yes, those first 3 quarters were a bit, how's it going? But that last quarter, that's what Collingwood can do. That's what Collingwood can do to you if you don't bury us. And it's gonna be interesting to see what the next 2 weeks look like against Hawthorn, then against Melbourne, and coming into that bye. if we can bank at least one win from our next two, I'd really, really appreciate that and enjoy that. I would also appreciate if we, and maybe against Melbourne, we rest Marcher because he was just battered today, and we bring in a Charlie West. Just something, see what the depth actually looks like. See what the depth actually looks like. But I did love that it was in that last quarter, it was a very mature performance. Those first three quarters, I think it was just a bit of a rope-a-dope. See what they can do. Just keep up with them. See what they can do. See what they can bring. And Kangaroos went a different route. They went that kick mark route that just wasn't working for them. And I know you're probably going to talk about it. Some of those umpiring decisions for both teams were absolutely shocking. Just absolutely shocking. But anyway, those are my thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts down below. And until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll swoop you later.